Good day to all. Welcome to Extreme Recap. In a substitute timetable, the US. What's more, Russia are currently bickering furiously. Both of them can't go to war, so they've gone back to spying. However, the traditional spies are now out of date and easy to catch. As a result, the Russians have put together a group of female spies who know how to seduce people. They locate their targets, seduce them, have coitus with them, and then get the information they need. For the victims, it sounds like a pretty good deal. Dominika Egova, a well-known Russian ballet dancer, is shown off in the opening scene. She has been dancing and taking care of her ailing mother since she was a teenager. At some point, Dominika shares her mom with a guardian and heads to work. During the meeting, she meets a number of guests, including her uncle Ivan, Deputy Director of Russia's Foreign Intelligence Service, SVR. During the meeting, a gangster named Dmitry Ustinov asks Dominika for a picture and uses the opportunity to touch her in an inappropriate manner. Dominika dances shortly after the performance begins. Stunningly impressed. The viewers, regrettably, her dance partner quickly leaps and lands on her leg, causing a serious injury. Dominika is rushed to the hospital for emergency surgery as a result. After this, Nate Nash, a CIA agent in Moscow, is shown to us. One day, as he is about to meet one of his assets in Gorky Park, the police unexpectedly confront him. Nate quickly thinks on his feet and fires shots at the ground to distract. Marble, a Russian mole who goes by the codename, is protected as a result. Who gets away without being found? However, in the midst of the chaos, the authorities arrest Nate. After that, he is escorted to the American embassy, where he meets his superiors in safety. He is informed that Marble is safe by them. He will, however, be returned to the United States because of his error. The following day, Ivan pays a visit to General Vladimir Kortsnoy and the director of the SVR. They show video of Nate's meeting in Gorky Park and explain that the unidentified person is their primary concern. The scene then returns to Dominika, who regains consciousness. A hospital bed to discover that a metal frame now covers her leg. She is crushed when she understands that she won't ever move from now onward. Months pass, however Dominika is as yet strolling with the assistance of a stick. When Uncle Ivan comes to see her one day, he tells her that her replacement has been found and that her workplace will no longer offer her benefits. As a result, he makes an offer to assist Dominika and asks her to approach him when she is ready. However, prior to leaving, he gives her an envelope with intimate photos and a recording of their conversation, which suggests that her former dance partner deliberately caused the accident so that his girlfriend could take her place. Dominique is enraged by this revelation, so she immediately goes to the theater to observe her former partner and his girlfriend. She follows them to the steam room after watching them practice, where they begin to sexually engage in a rage. Dominika assaults them with her stick, demanding her retaliation. Coming back, she comes by a telephone stall and reports as an occurrence. Oopsie daisy. After this, Dominika, whose career is currently in disarray, demands assistance from her uncle. He is willing to assist her, but only if she reciprocates. The SVR Dmitry is interested in learning more about the gangster from earlier. He therefore asks Dominika to become his friend. And Dominika has no choice but to earn his trust by using her feminine charms, despite her reluctance to do so. Her mother's medical bills are just too much. That evening, Dominika goes to the inn where Demetrius remaining dressed wonderfully and heads to the bar to get his attention. As she anticipated, Dmitry approaches her and inquires about his assistance. They move to a private room after she tells them she wants to feel special once more and leave Demetrius guards outside. He asks her to undress after a while and immediately begins working like a madman. But at that time, an individual wearing a dark protective cap goes into the room and murders Dmitry. The gatecrasher then, at that point, tosses a coat at Dominika to cover her bloodied body and protects her through the secondary passage. It turns out that the man is a passing SVR agent named Konstantin. Ivan comes to Dominika and presents her with a decision. Either become a SVR employable or face execution for seeing Demetrius murder. True to form, she decides to work for them. Following this, Dominika is signed up for the brutal and thorough state school for which has some expertise in preparing sparrows. SVR agent who was adept at seducing their targets through sex. Vienna. Sorry, That was fantastic. Upon her appearance, Matron, Sparrow's head mistress, greets her, gives her a new name, and takes her inside. The following day, classes begin, and Matron gives a speech about the world's current chaos, pointing out that Russia is the only nation willing to give up anything to fix it. She also informs the students that their bodies are now the property of the state and that they are obligated to complete any task given to them. Nate meets with a CIA panel in the next scene, and they decide to suspend him for his mistake in Russia. Nate, on the other hand, asserts that he has been working with Marble for a long time and that no one else can be trusted. In the end, his plea is taken into consideration. Additionally, he has provided a second chance for self-repair. After that, Nate is sent to Budapest, which is the closest city. Their every move is being watched by the SVR, though they are unaware of it, in order to re-establish contact with Marble. Back in state school, Four Lady shows the Sparrows how to distinguish what their objective needs. She shows a few pictures on television and requests that they distinguish their needs. Domenica corrects Victor, an arrogant student, who gives the first one a wrong answer. He becomes the laughing stock of everyone because of this. When a different female student correctly guesses the second, she is brought to the front of the class to please a guy. The young lady gets kneeling down. She is, however, unable to do so. The day after that, it is requested that the students warmly welcome a group of soldiers who have just returned from combat. Domenica picks a young man and takes him to a private room where she treats him as she pleases. Matron and the other students later attend the performance. Matron praises Domenico's performance by praising her technique. However, unlike Domenica, she has not yet learned to surrender herself after class. Digs out from a deficit and attempts to attack her, yet she fearlessly protects herself by hitting him with a water tap. This makes a lot of noise, and General Vladimir himself goes to the school to look into it. Domenica responds that she serves the state rather than her fellow students when he inquires as to why she did it. In the following class, the matron orders Domenica to the front, and Vladimir watches through a CCTV camera. Matron shows Domenica a picture of Victor and asks him to name his wants. Victor enters the room at that exact moment, and Matron tells Domenica to give Victor what he wants. In an effort to persuade him to take our protagonist, she doesn't dress herself and sits on the table with her legs open. Notwithstanding, Victor, who was as yet alarmed from the previous occurrence, leaves without contacting her. The questioner is then informed by Domenica that he wants power. Vladimir assigns her to a Budapest mission after being impressed by this. Her task is to win its trust and reveal the Marble's identity, perhaps one that is masculine, a few more, and a few holes along the way. Domenica, I accept the mission. Budapest, where he lives with a fellow Sparrow named Marta under the watchful eye of SVR Station Chief Maxim Vault. She then begins to follow Nate and visits the same swimming pool as Nate. She intentionally bumps into him and pretends to be the embassy's translator for a brief conversation. The following day Domenica heads to the pool, yet doesn't track down Nate there. In addition, she discovers that her concept is lacking. It just so happens, Nate has previously sorted out that she's a Russian covert operative attempting to uncover Marble's personality. He tells his superiors about this and sees her potential value. His superiors give him permission to get closer to Domenica to get more information after hearing this. Domenica later goes to the embassy and finds Marta talking to Stephanie Bush, an American politician. When Nate realizes that he is aware of Domenica's mission, he quickly approaches her and tells her that he took her ID from the pool. She uncovers her actual goals to then have a short discussion and agree to meet for supper the next day. Domenico then goes back to her apartments and looks in Marty's room, where she discovers that Marta has been charged with purchasing Stephanie's confidential information. She asks the station chief to give her more time by sending a good report to Moscow the following day after work and pleads with him to do so. She blackmails him into sending a better report or else she will turn him into the police, prompting him to hit her now that his behavior has been caught on camera. It's a Minica. Nate is waiting for her at the restaurant in the interim. However, he assumes that she left him when she doesn't show up for a while. Domenica follows him to his place without his knowledge. He secretly allows her inside after she rings the doorbell. Nate wildly asks how she tracked down his place, and Domenica turns up the television volume to guarantee that they can't be heard prior to getting some information about what occurred in Gorky Park. She kisses him after getting the response, but he stops her in her tracks and tells her to go home. The day after that, Dominika gets a surprise visit from Ivan, who wants to see how she's doing with Nate. Does it feel like you have to buy more time? She tells him that she made up a lie. She is also employed. Concerning Marta, however, it will necessitate additional funding. After giving it some thought, Ivan decides to leave while he goes to get his coat. Dominika sneaks a peek at his passport to gather information about him. Soon thereafter, Domenica gets back to amazingly find Marta's dead body in the bath before she could appreciate what occurred. Constantine, a similar SVR. She is grabbed by the neck by the behind-the-scenes agent from earlier. He goes on to explain that people who share secrets experience this. Meanwhile, Domenica's new message, which demonstrates that she is a sparrow, is brought to Nate's attention by his superiors. Nate believes that she can still be recruited, despite the fact that his superiors view her as a threat. He admits that he knows Domenica's real identity when he takes her to her apartment the following evening. Domenica, likewise, reveals her story, highlighting that her sole concern is the safety of her mother. Nate then, at that point, offers her an arrangement to turn into a twofold specialist structure, promising her security consequently subsequent to thoroughly considering it. Domenica inquires as to whether she can believe him. He guarantees her. And they end up getting close together. Early morning. Dominika is put through a lie detector test by Nate's superiors to determine her reliability. Is this film an inadequately cobbled together government operative story that is utilizing your body to sell tickets? Indeed, she's coming clean, sir. At the point when she breezes through the assessment, she requests cash, asserting that she can get them. From Stephanie Busha, information. On Friday, Dominika goes to London with saying to meet Stephanie and execute the exchange. She stays in a hotel room that has been specially prepared for her by the CIA. The room has security cameras and a set of discs that are hidden under a desk so that she can later swap them out for the real ones. Domenica approaches Stephanie shortly after she arrives at the hotel. Dominika tries to authenticate the discs while claiming to have been sent by Marta previously. Stephanie believes that Dominika will hand over the discs in exchange for the money. Yet, actually, she switches them with the phony ones. Stephanie is in a panic when she realizes that American intelligence agents are watching her after the deal. She tries to cross the street and tosses the money in the trash. She does, however, unfortunately succumb to her injuries after being struck by a surmise. She ought to have looked left and right. Russian specialists watching the entire episode expect that their main goal has been compromised. They additionally suspect the Dominika and Adage were the ones who warned the Americans south. When they get there, the two are told to go back to Moscow. Dominika and Nate are apprehended when Ivan seizes the discs. They endure excruciating torture for days despite their assertions of innocence. Maxim is even put to death. Domenica, on the other hand, continues to insist that she has nothing to do with the Americans. Ivan eventually starts to believe her, and he gives her permission to return to Budapest to carry out her original goal of discovering Marble's identity. Domenica spends a romantic evening with Nate at his house after returning with him. Notwithstanding, around midnight, she awakens to find Constantine exposing Nate to torment to get Marble's personality. At first, Dominika pretends to be in on the conspiracy with Constantine and even helps Nate get hurt. However, she assaults him when he is distracted, enabling the two work together to defeat Constantine after they manage to free him from his chains. Be that as it may, they get through serious wounds during this interaction. In the following scene, Domenica awakens at the emergency clinic where she gets an unexpected visit from General Vladimir. He reveals himself to be the mole Marble, which is shocking. Vladimir, who was a patriotic official in the past, confesses that after his sick wife was refused treatment from an American doctor, he became disillusioned with Russia's widespread corruption and feared that his sacrifice would be in vain. Domenica is instructed by Vladimir to expose him to Ivan. She would be able to take his place as a mole and become a national hero for doing so. Domenica initially rejects the concept, but after much persuasion, she decides to pose as the authorities. She requests to address the Russian representative, and when her desire is allowed, she makes sense of that she has the name of the mole. Notwithstanding, she will just uncover his name in return for her opportunity in the fallout of the discussion. A trade meeting is booked at an air terminal. Dominika has been assigned Nate to accompany her in. The mole, as he is known, is extremely upset because Dominika's actions make him feel used and betrayed. He feels objectified. That is a lot. She is, however, a surprise for him. The mole, whose face, Russians came up to them shortly thereafter, when found, reveals to be Ivan. It turns out that ever since Dominika arrived in Budapest, she had been fabricating evidence to put her uncle on trial, even blaming him for the botched exchange in London. Ivan is shot by a Russian sniper shortly after. Shocked Nate quickly confirms that he is the swindler. Dominika is removed from the scene in a helicopter after the exchange is over. In the final scene, we see her receiving an award at a military ceremony in Russia, where General Vladimir Dominika was present. She is now living a happy, free life with her mother, as she has always done. Turn on notifications, please subscribe for more videos like this, and like the channel to support it. Thank you very much for watching.